With all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within that he has repeated when he's speaking about the American people. That's not what you just showed.
Well, he was asked about that specific...
No, that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to you,
that was the question that we asked him.
You didn't show that, and here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times, and you and I both know that. And you and I both know that he has talked about turning the American military on the American people. He has talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy.
Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of Look Forward. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Brad.
Yeah, as we were deciding what story to lead off the podcast with this week, I said if it bleeds, it leads. And I'm referring to Bret Baier's bloody fucking broken body on the floor after Kamala Harris completely dunked on him in the clip that you just saw.
Look, there is nothing better than watching someone believe their own bullshit and they get embarrassed by it, which is what you're seeing the Republican Party deal with in real time, right? Bret Baier being one of them, him being a representative of a conglomerate of fools who thinks that because the bar has become buried underground, that you could trick the Democratic nominee by saying, well, do you think half the voting populace is stupid? And she's just going to go, yeah, I do. Why don't you just roll this clip for the next 7 or fucking 3 weeks and destroy my...
It's like I told you. It's like I told you today. Like he was thirsty for a basket of deplorables soundbite.
He was.
What he wanted.
Yep, that's
like
exactly
that's because like he kept pushing her too. He's like, you know, he's like, oh, you know, really? He's like, that's what you think? Is that what you think? And she's just like, that's not what I'm saying.
She might as well have patted him on the head.
Nice try.
Go sit down in the corner.
You know what's even more fucked up is, so like I didn't realize this. So like the clip at the top where they were talking about the selectively edited Trump clip, right? She called them out for it. The enemy of the people clip, which we'll talk about later in the show. I thought that they were like, at first, like I thought she was referring to the clip of him saying it on Barroma, like, which is when he originally said it. I forgot that literally in the answer that they showed, like they literally cut out the first half of the answer where he reiterates the point again. And I'm just like, wow, like that's even fucking worse. Yeah. Like, what are you guys doing?
It's pretty shameless, right? Like it's pretty bad. Which, look, they teed the reason why I said in the beginning this idea that they've started to believe their own bullshit, right? The reason that I believe that is because they're doing this thing, and they did it with Biden, and it turned out like they weren't necessarily correct. They actually were very wrong. Like they got embarrassed by saying, "Oh, Biden is a brain-addled idiot" and everything else. And then he went out and did that State of the Union, and people were like, "Oh no!" Like, you know, they fucked up, right? When the debate came, they turned out they were.
Well, the Biden thing with Fox that I'll never forget was them like staking out like his house in Delaware or whatever, and they're talking about like Joe Biden's like a, you know, fucking old man, like he's hiding in his basement, and then like 5 minutes later, like here comes Joe Biden riding by the camera like on a bicycle.
Yeah, this guy's barely alive. Move out of the way, pussies! And he's like but they've bought into the same thing with Harris, right? You keep saying she's dumb. You keep saying that she's never earned anything. You keep saying how stupid she is because Trump, of course, is at the top repeating these things, right? Oh, she's mentally incompetent since birth, and like just saying all stuff. And so that starts to build into the echo chamber, right? It starts to become true for them. And then they go on TV and they interview her and they say something stupid. And then she embarrasses them because they forgot through all their bullshit that she's a fucking prosecutor. And they're like, oh, we've made a grave mistake. Yeah, dude, she's not an idiot. I know that you guys keep saying that, but there is actually no real proof of that. Like, yeah, sometimes she can be like a little giggly or whatever. Whatever. Everyone has their personality traits. But when it comes down to it, she's very quick. Like she can knock down a bullshit talking point super fast and like kind of with ease because that was kind of her job. hey, what is all the bullshit the other side's going to say? Let's prepare and have knockdown arguments forever.
Well, that's the other thing too, is that because they view her like, oh, like she's overprepared, she reiterates the same shit over and over again. The other viral clip of her that went out this week was the clip of her on the Breakfast Club when she was talking to Charlemagne, and he started off the interview with like, you sound so rehearsed and like you are always saying the same things. She ends her up, she's like, that's called discipline. Like that's
and he was like,
that's a benefit. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, oh yeah. It's because you forget this because my opponent is he capable of, not saying whatever fucking, like there's no filter between his brain and his mouth. Like right. It all just comes flooding out all the time.
Right. Like that idea that he has now created what they think the standard by which politicians talk. Like, oh, this person, like even Bret Baier in his sort of post-interview sort of shenanigans, he's talking about how it's really hard to knock her off message. Just like Obama. I'm like, yeah. Like they're not going to let you bulldoze them into bullshit. Like they're smart and capable people. The problem is you guys keep saying they're dumb. That doesn't actually make them dumb. It just means that the people who you service, your viewers, believe that. But when you go one-on-one with her, you're in a world of trouble. Like you can't go at her believing the narrative, you got to still like you got to address her as a real person, not this stereotype or this like fake archetype that you've created. And the problem is Bret Baier was questioning the archetype. He was not questioning the actual person, and he paid for it.
Yeah, and by the way, this is supposedly your newsman. Like this is
he's supposed to be like the down the line guy.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Look,
so that's the best you got. You might, as we've said many a time, you probably need to take that second word out of the name of your network. So
let's go with Fox Entertainment. Like it's fine. Like it's fine because at that point, news is the last thing you're doing. But that clip, of course, went viral, and she's playing it on Kamala HQ on all social media and shit like that because she looks great. And look, we'll talk about the details of what Trump said in which she's referencing a little bit later, but you can't do this. You can't, like, it's almost as if I was Trump, she answered that question so well and did such a good job knocking down their bullshit. I would be mad at Fox News. I'm like, that's a softball. What are you doing? Shut up.
He was mad at Fox News for even doing the interview with her in the first place. So like there is that. I haven't seen any comments from him specific to the interview. So
because he didn't watch it. Let's be honest. He not gonna
watch it. Really? You think so? You think he didn't watch it?
Oh, okay. He's a bit of a narcissist, so a bit. That is putting it mildly. Yeah, I mean the fact that he's mentioned in it quite a bit. Yeah, you know what? You're probably right. So, but I have to imagine that for him, he probably doesn't want to really watch it in real time. Like he's probably like, did she say anything about me? Like, okay, then I'll watch. Like he couldn't look at her in a debate. I bet he can't stand seeing her on live TV, especially on a channel that he deems as his. Right.
Here's another bit of information about the interview that I'm surprised he hasn't latched onto yet. Quadrupled their normal viewership during the time that it aired. So
7.1 million people watched it. Yeah. Look, I think there is, it was funny. Terrence and I were talking about this yesterday. I think there is a lot of Republicans who are going to hold their nose and say they're voting for Trump or say nothing, who are absolutely going to vote for her or just not vote. I'm sure there's people who around their friends are saying they're going to vote for Kamala Harris and are going to go to Trump, but I think those numbers are few and far between. I think Trump has a much bigger issue of people defecting from his side, especially women. And like there was some report that they were talking to women about who they were voting for or what have you in like Pennsylvania or Georgia or one of those places. And when they were talking to them alone, they were much more open about like, well, this is what I'm looking at and this is who I'm thinking about. And when their husbands would come over, they'd be like, I don't really want to talk about politics. Like that's like, it was like a real thing. I was like,
yeah.
It is sad to imagine being in a marriage with somebody where you have.
Well, I mean, I don't know, Jay. Like Trump is the father of IVF, according to him.
Yo.
So, so there is that.
I would be totally fine in choking him out with my beer. I swear to God, dude. Like, I swear to God. What
I would give a reporter $100 if they asked him in a press conference, what does IVF stand for? Because I bet that he doesn't know.
There is no way he knows what IVF stands for. There's no way.
And if he does know, he can't pronounce it. I bet as well.
He couldn't pronounce Arizonans the other day. Azurasians or whatever the fuck he said.
Yeah, that's literally what he called them. Yes. Again, that's what happens when someone with limited literacy is reading off a teleprompter. So,
is he our first illiterate president?
Oh, he can't be. There's no way.
You think there's other illiterate presidents?
Yeah, there has to be at least one from like the early 1800s that didn't read too good back in that day. I don't know. I don't know. We call Michael Beschloss and see. He'll know the answer.
Yeah, he's like Nixon. It's always Nixon. All right,
that's why he recorded everything.
Yeah. He's like, exactly. He's like, just play it back to me. I can't read anything. He's lettered. You're lying. All right, let's
trust me. Way more on Trump later, because it's been quite the week for D Tizzle, as I guess we can call him. That's his stage name. So
yeah, like, let's sway around. Inside baseball here, which is really quite funny. We normally record on Monday nights, right? But we had some technical issues, so we couldn't finish the show. So we're actually recording now on Thursday. We had a docket on Monday, and in that few days going to record on Thursday, we had threw out most of it because there's so many crazy things that happen in 3 days. This is absolutely nuts. All right, so let's talk about Kamala Harris releasing her plan for black men. I
don't care about this at all, Jay. It doesn't affect me in any way.
Of course you don't. Of course you don't. You fucking bastard. The plan is called the Opportunity Agenda for Black Men, and if you're not a black man, good. Screw you. Get out of here. This is for us.
What is she doing for Whitey? That's my question.
Yeah, why isn't there a white entertainment television?
Right.
Many of us. Now, by the way, the reason she's doing this is solely because at least the narrative is that a lot of black men are voting for Trump. Look, spoiler alert, and I've said this for a long time. Yes, he's going to get. I think probably my guess is about 8% of black men, not of black people, but maybe it's probably about.
I bet you the percentage of black men specifically is going to be a little bit higher than 8%.
Yeah, probably, but I think in total it's actually only 8% of black people in general, right?
Yeah.
But there's this notion that the Republican Party is pulling all these black people to it. Spoiler alert. No, they're not. Okay, they're not. Trump very specifically is, because of his fucking bravado and all that other shit. You put a dork like J.D. Vance or one of these other what are you gonna put up? John Thune? You think black men are just dying to hang out with John Thune? No, right? But this idea of money and wealth and all the fucking horseshit around Trump and the fake alpha male bravado and all this other shit, I think that attracts a lot of these people, right? Mm-hmm. I think there's also a lot of black men who say they're going to vote for Trump and they don't vote at all. I hate to say that, but I do think that's true. Like all these like men on the street fucking interviews with like a bunch of homeboys and shit. I'm like, these motherfuckers don't vote. Like you can tell a person who votes by the language in which they use a lot of times. And they're like, oh, he gives out free money. And I'm like, okay, like you don't actually really vote. Like you don't. And they're, some of them play it up like their level of ignorance because they think it's like somehow amusing to think that democracy is not serious, but whatever. But she's doing this to hopefully cut into the inroads of these black men feeling disaffected by the Democratic Party. And look, there are reasons to feel as a black person disaffected with the Democratic Party. I acknowledge that. I'm not going to pretend that's not true. So a couple of things in this plan. Quote, 1 million fully forgivable loans for up to $20,000 for black business owners and others looking to start businesses. A national initiative to focus on black men's disparate health outcomes. which is increased studies and federal funding for like diabetes, sickle cell anemia, which is very much affects Black people almost
exclusively.
Yeah. So that one I actually think is quite important. More investment in education, mentorship, and training programs designed to funnel Black men into good-paying, high-demand jobs in fields where there are underrepresented and desperately needed, like teaching. Look, the amount of Black male teachers is crazy low. I think it's like 6% or 3% or something like that.
When I saw this, I tried to literally go back through my personal history of school and tried to remember how many
1.3
Black male teachers that I had.
1.3%.
Yeah. And so not like I went to like private schools or like I went to public school and the whole nine. I cannot think of a single. No, I'm sorry, false. I can think of one. My 12th grade music teacher was a Black man.
Wow.
And that is literally the only black male teacher I can recall having throughout school. So
yeah, so here's the thing. Here's some statistics. 74.3% of all teachers are women. 25.7% are men. The average teacher's age is 42. The most common ethnicity of teachers is white at 68.8%, followed by Hispanic and Latino at 12.9%, Black at 10%, and unknown at 3.9%. And yet, in 2022, women earn 94% of what men earned in teaching. They are 74.3% of all teachers. Like, again, there's no disparities. Okay, explain that. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, 1.3% of all American teachers are Black men. Now, look, I think Black male teachers, I had a couple throughout school, mostly in high school. I can think of like maybe 3 or 4 that we had in our high school, or that I directly had. I think 3. Having teachers who look like the students makes a massive, massive difference, right? I know that's probably not a thing that white people think about because most teachers are white, right? So, and it's not that white teachers can't teach people who don't look like them, but it's the kids being able to look up to like these authority figures, right? And say, oh shit, like I can be that. I can grow up to do that. And that's important, right? So a lot of Black men are really concerned about the lack of Black male teachers. So am I. So I think that is a completely valid thing to really hammer home on. Supporting this is the thing I don't give a fuck about, and I don't really understand it. Supporting regulation to protect Black men and others who invest in and own cryptocurrency. Look, here's my thought on that. If you're buying cryptocurrency, that's your fucking problem. Nobody should be protecting you. Sorry.
I mean, I think that
built on the bigger.
I think there should be government regulation around cryptocurrency the same way there's government regulation around the stock market. But that doesn't have to be
that's fair
towards Black men. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it should be micro-targeted. Like I think it's honestly ridiculous. But like the cryptocurrency is based on there is a bigger fool fallacy, which is there's always going to be another idiot to sell to. And I guess that's not really a fallacy as much as that's like absolutely correct. But that's not a reason that I think that Black men specifically should be protected by this. Like if you want to, like, I don't think there should be protection for gambling on the fucking ponies because it's the same thing to me. If you get burned by it, shrug. I don't care. And by the way, I don't care if you're, black, white, blue, yellow, green. I don't give a shit. Oh, I lost all my money in crypto. That sounds like a personal fucking problem.
Yeah, so stop getting taken in by shoddy grifts is what I would say. So.
Yeah. So like, no, I don't really even understand. Like, I feel like they needed one to add to the list. They were like, oh, we only have 4. Like, we need a 5th one. Like, just, I don't know. Like, it doesn't even make sense to me. This one I think does make a lot of sense. Legalizing recreational marijuana and creating opportunities for Black entrepreneurs in this budding industry. Relax on the nothing budding needed to be there. This isn't the fucking Post. look, I think this is good. I think legalizing marijuana, obviously, especially for recreational use, makes all the sense in the world. From folks getting locked up and all that other shit, right? We talk like there's rumor that she's possibly going to end up going on Joe Rogan's podcast. My thought is this is exactly what you need to have with you in your back pocket when you go there to be like, here you go, shut the fuck up. And Joe Rogan will be like, oh, legalize weed. I love it.
I think enough states have been knocking it down that I feel like we're finally on the precipice of that possibly happening.
Yes.
In the next administration or two, as long as it's a Democratic administration, because fucking Republicans are weird still about this, even though all their fucking voters do it too. So
yeah, I just don't see the argument. Like it just feels so stupid to me that we're even still having the argument. But
it's a gateway drug, Jay. Somehow alcohol isn't, but THC is.
Whatever. It's a gateway drug to maybe obesity. Like that's about it. You could make that argument. I wouldn't disagree. I'd be like, I do like to eat when you're high. Like that's true.
Food tastes delicious when you're
yeah, exactly. Like I understand that. That is a valid argument. We can't afford this as Americans because we're already in bad shape. Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
I can hear that argument. It's gonna lead to heroin? No, I don't think so. I've never been high. I'm like, it would be great.
Like I said, the only thing you need to keep away from me, I've discovered when I'm high is tins of Danish butter cookies. Like keep those away. Otherwise they're gonna get fucking demolished. But
you just fill those with Bretts, okay? Like it's just hair care product and then you're fine. Which is what all of those are filled with in every black home in America. No one's ever had one of those cookies. So, yeah, I think overall it's a good plan. Again, the cryptocurrency thing is very weird to me. If you get burned by that, I don't give a shit. I don't care what color you are. But look, do I think that this is going to win over these people who have been complaining that she's not doing enough for black men? No, because they're not interested in being won over. That's why there was a bunch of videos from these same assholes who've been complaining about her saying, nah, I saw your plan. I don't want that. I shit you not. This is their argument. They don't want that. They want child support forgiveness, Brad. That's what they want. Right. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Yeah. These are not these are not
serious people.
They're not serious people. So, like, I think it's a good plan. Put it out there. Do these things and let all the sane people who actually matter, let them enjoy these things. These guys will also enjoy legalized weed and all these other benefits and everything else. But then they will pretend when it comes time for the midterms or the next election that none of this should happen, right? And then they will ask for some other bullshit thing. They're not in the business of getting a reasonable stance so that they can find a reason to be like, let me compare your plans. Trump doesn't have a plan. He doesn't have any plan.
Jay, hey, fuck off. Yes, he does. He's going to create black jobs. Or sorry, he did create black jobs when he was president the first time. Yeah, I assume he's going to continue creating black jobs.
Yes. Yeah, and all the Mexicans stole it. Like, so, gotta create more. But as I saw, I forget the guy's name. He used to be on the Daily Show. He was on the new show that
Roy Wood Jr.
Yeah, he's on the new Roy Wood show. And he was like, listen, they're not talking about this specifically, but just talking about, people like, show me, what are your policies? What are your policies? He's like, they're not looking for her actual policies. They're looking for an excuse not to vote for her. Right. That is what this is. She kind of fell into that, but I get it. Right. Cause you still want to roll out these policies anyway, but in reality, they're not going to change. They're not interested in that. They're dishonest, right? They're being disingenuous. So it's best to ignore them. And again, the vast majority of black men are already voting for you, so it's fine.
Yeah, not to before we go to break, not to get all Bernie Sanders here, but a lot of her other policies that she is floating that are targeted towards helping the middle class will also help black people by and large, even if it's not 100%. directly impacted by them. So, or directly catered to them, I should say.
Right, but here's the thing. Nobody does that, right? Like every group, you get I'm helping everybody, mostly in the middle, and then a rising tide, lifts all ships. So there, and this is why I'm saying these people are very disingenuous who are for asking for this shit. They think that a president's supposed to come out and go, for black people, I will be doing this. Fuck Whitey. Like, that's not how black presidents can operate. That's insane, right?
Or any president, really.
Right. Now, what I would argue is the reason they see it that way, in fairness to them, is that they feel like things are being given to or benefit white people at the expense of black people. And what I would say is, it's not necessarily that the legislation is aimed at white people, is that the system is fucked up. And so when you give it to a certain echelon of people, it's not even race, by the way, a certain echelon of people as far as like financial, black people get screwed because not only are black people a minority, but they're one of the poorest, right? So it's not necessarily like fuck black people. It's just like a secret fuck black people. Like that's what it is. So they go, well, why can't we just do that to them? It's like, it doesn't really work like that because yes, we're poor, but there's also other poor people. So when you help poor black people, you end up helping poor Asian people, poor white people, poor, Latin folks. That's just the way it is. So yeah, when they give tax cuts to the rich, there black people get helped by that. There's just not that many of them. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just not the average. But when you're helping middle class and, and poorer Americans that black people who, live in that region, you're going to help more. That's going to be spread across other people. So this idea of you should only help us and not them, that's simply not how the world works. And again, either they already know this and they're just being disingenuous for like clout and shit on the internet, or they don't know this and they should probably shut the fuck up and go read and understand government before asking for these things.
So let me tell you something here.
Oof.
It's been a while since we've had such a heavy concentration of just a banner Donald Trump week. Mm-hmm. There's a turn of phrase that has existed across the TNP Studios network for many, many years that Jay coined and still uses to this day, which is cornucopia of bullshit, which is one of my favorite terms to describe just a pile of garbage. May I posit to you?
I have a T-shirt idea. Go ahead.
Yeah. May I posit to you that this week, thanks to Donald Trump, we are dealing with a smorgasbord of insanity. With as much
I like
Trump news that is out there this week.
It's what is happening? This campaign is imploding, right? Like, he's imploding. Like, I mean, I know that we're supposed to pretend like it's even, bro. Like, look at the aggregates; it's fucking even. No, it's not. It's not. Like, he's having a tough time. I feel. Pep is tired, man. Like, your peepaw ain't gonna make it. Like, he can't wait for these 3 weeks to be fucking over. You think he wants to do these lawsuits? He don't want to do these lawsuits. Dude, he's going to be like, I think they got us. Like, can I just go back tomorrow?
No, are you kidding me? He 100% will, because, again, the fucking light at the end of the tunnel of Donald Trump not becoming president is still potential jail time. So he will exhaust every fight that he can. But that doesn't mean that he's in the right state of mind to be doing it. And apparently, and apparently, the reporting from inside his campaign is that they've kind of just like given up, of sorts, like trying to reel him in, they're just like, you know what, just fuck, like we're exhausted,
Bartlett be Bartlett, except,
and they have like, it's almost like they're bringing in surrogates to try to like act as like a handler for him when he does these events. Like, they had Tulsi Gabbard do like that town hall with him a couple weeks ago, and Kristi Noem did a rally that we're going to talk about in a town hall that we're going to talk about in a few minutes here. But we're going to wait on that because there are two things that I think deserve like two things that he said at events in the past couple of days that aren't getting. One of them is getting a lot of coverage, but I feel like that the coverage is being blunted by the Harris interview that we talked about on top. And then the other thing he said hasn't been talked about at all, which is insane to me, considering that we're still recovering from two of the most devastating hurricanes in recent American history to hit the coast. So the one we should start with, because this is the most alarming, and the thing that kicked off the Kamala Harris viral clip that happened, was he sat down with Maria Bartiromo, who was one of his Fox enablers, one of his great enablers, and she teed him up to rail against like undocumented immigrants, essentially, which of course is his hobby horse that he loves to go on. And she was saying that basically they were going to call, like she wanted him to confirm that they were going to be the thing that causes issues on election day. And Trump's like, no. That's not the real problem. The real problem that we have to watch out for is the enemy within. Talking about, quoting him, I think the bigger problem are the people from within, that we have some really bad people, sick people, radical left lunatics.
Oh, yeah.
And how to handle those, he said, if we need to send in the National Guard. Or if really necessary, we need to send in the military to deal with these people. I want to remind everybody that might not be up to date on their constitution. It's illegal to deploy the military within the borders of the United States. You literally cannot do it. It's literally why the National Guard exists, is because you cannot use the enlisted services to operate within the borders of the country. They are strictly an international operation.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing that the former president of the United States doesn't know this. Now, I know someone would say, "Oh, he knows. He's just going to say it." Does he though? Like, does he?
I don't know that he does now.
I don't think so. Like, he's not a particularly learned individual. He doesn't really believe in, like, asking legitimate questions, right? No, I don't think he knows. And I don't think it matters, honestly, because I think the idea of using the National Guard or using the United States military to take on citizens is insane. I think that we are in a time where people are like, well, they're both kind of the same. They, blah, 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 the lesser two evils type of, fucking bullshit. Bro, one person is like, I'm going to use the military against leftists in this country.
Yeah, I'm going to
like, should I even vote? I mean, I don't know. Kamala Harris.
I'm gonna call in the Marines to tamp down civil disobedience and unrest. That seems reasonable. It's a reasonable stance to take.
He said
again from the same guy that was like, "Hey, those protesters that are getting on my nerves, can't we shoot them in the legs or something?"
Yeah, he said that. Like,
yep.
I mean, just shoot him. It's fine. Now, here's the thing. You have people. He says that he would use this against the enemy within, the far left lunatics, right? That was a term he used, right? These radical far left lunatics. Meanwhile, leftists. By the way, if you're a leftist and you're like, oh no, he means like Democrats, not us. If you think in a Trump America, he's going to give a fuck about the difference between you wanting healthcare and thinking what's happening in Gaza is the worst thing that's ever happened on planet Earth, and us thinking this Gaza shit's really horrible, but maybe we should like work together to like, move the country forward. If you think he understands any daylight between those two groups, you're deeply mistaken. So we're all in the same group here. You're arguing about not voting for Kamala Harris. Meanwhile, and doing that weird leftist thing of like, well, what about Trump? And they're like, I'm not talking about Trump. That doesn't matter. Meanwhile, Trump is standing behind you with a knife going, yeah, don't vote for her. That's great.
Vote
I'm going to
Jill
fucking
Stein.
kill you.
We love Jill Stein.
Something
he's literally said.
2 inches. Yes.
Yeah.
He's got his knife 2 inches from your fucking back. And you're like, I can't tell who to vote for. I mean, look, it is insane to me. I actually don't know anybody like in real life who talks like that. I cannot imagine having a reasonable conversation with a person like this. Well, I'm just not going to vote. Okay, like did you hear what he said? I know you guys don't pay attention a lot, but he's in 4K. You can watch it. It's on YouTube. I'm going to use the military against these people.
By the way, did you we saw something funny, and this isn't a leftist saying this because Jake Tapper was interviewing Glenn Youngkin, and Jake Tapper asked him about these quotes.
Classic leftist Glenn Youngkin.
Yeah, classic, but yeah, very much. And Jake Tapper asked him about these quotes, and Glenn Youngkin was trying to sanewash it, trying to be like, well, I think he actually meant like this, that, or the other thing. And Jake Tapper's like, no, he's like, I'm not telling you like what the gist of what he said. I'm reading his quotes to you. Like you don't have to interpret them. Like just react to what he said. And Glenn Youngkin was like, well, I don't think he meant it like that. And Jake Tapper's like, I'm sure it's inconvenient for you that I'm sure you wish he didn't say that, but this is what he said. And Glenn Youngkin just like refused to engage with it. And I feel like that's what a lot of people who want to still vote for him do, is they're like, well, he said it, but he didn't mean it like that. And I love that argument, by the way, because it's like, because it becomes like Schrodinger's Trump, where it can be whatever you want it to be. Like if he says something that you like, you can be like, yeah, like that's absolutely what he meant. And if he says something that you don't like, you can be like, well, that's not what he meant, or he wasn't being serious, or like he was speaking about something else when he said this thing. He didn't mean it this specific way.
I like when they say he isn't serious. You got to prepare for that as a journalist. Like he was saying, he was clearly joking. I'd be like, oh, that's interesting. Roll tape. And he's like, the enemy within needs to die. And it's like, okay, so was that serious or was he kidding? Like, what the fuck?
And by the way, do you want a president who you have to sit there and figure out? Like,
yeah, why should I have to parse it?
Well, is he being serious or is he joking? Is that what you want? Like that's like the guy who's in charge of the leader of the free world? Like, we have to fucking you get our Trump decoder ring out to figure out decipher what he said.
Right.
So like that, it's insane to me that when people are just like, oh, you can't take him seriously. Well, how do you know? Like, do you guys do you have a special Trump filter in your brain that filters out the bullshit information and tells you like the real shit?
Well, it filters out real information. Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. So I'll never understand that argument of like, oh, you can't take you don't take him literally. I'm just like, no, I'm going to, because it's literally what he said. You should.
Like, that's dumb. Well, he'll say something and then I'll interpret what he says, and that's how I'm going to deal with the president. But shouldn't we all be dealing with the president on the exact same level, not what's in your head canon versus how I see it? Just speak plainly. By the way, I know that you're okay with that because that's literally been the standard for everyone else since forever who's been president. They don't just get to like, I was kidding. I'm not really going to invade Iraq. Oh shit, is 9/11 real? Like, no, dude, you go on TV and you say some shit and people go, that's what they said. Now you can like it or dislike it. You can agree with it or not. But we're not playing this like bullshit game where we're like, oh, I'm going to change my stance when it's convenient or not. No, you said that shit. I don't remember the, I think her name is Emily something. She's some annoying ass white woman. But she was getting interviewed. And I point out that she's white, for a very specific reason. She's being interviewed by one of these like popular fucking, like debater, like liberal debaters. It wasn't Destiny, but like one of these other ones. Like this kid looks like, as Tiara said, little blonde Tom Holland, right? The guy who plays Spider-Man. But he's interviewing her on her fucking idiot podcast. And he's like, listen, are you in agreement, or do you think that life begins at conception? She's like, yeah, because I think abortion is murder. He was like, all right, cool. Do you think that women who have IUDs are murderers? And she's like, no, that's to protect from getting pregnant. Like, you idiot. And he's like, okay, clearly you don't really know how IUDs work. And so he's like, yeah, it doesn't necessarily prevent conception. It prevents the, like attachment, right? The fertilized egg attaching. And so thus killing this potential life. And she was like, well, so he's like, so do you consider these women of IUDs to be potentially murders? And she goes, sure, whatever, I guess, right? Like, and it's the same thing. It's like when you're trapped in a corner built by your own terrible logic. She says, oh, I'll just change my mind. And then it's like, see, you can't out debate me. It's like, no, you just don't stick to anything. Like,
Right.
he was like, oh, you believe in states' rights? She was like, yeah. He's like, so if Alabama wanted to bring back slavery, you would be fine with that? Oh, yeah, I guess, whatever, sure, if they want it. What the fuck? Like what kind of, you know, there's a part of the population that in fact would not want it, right? But like, that's what it's like dealing with Trump, and that's what it's like dealing with Trump supporters, right? Is this idea you can't really get them down on an issue because nothing is real. Everything is nebulous. Oh, well, if he said it, he didn't mean it. And if he meant it, he was kidding. And if he wasn't kidding, I agree with it anyway. And you're done.
Yeah.
You're like, what the fuck kind of thing is that? It used to be a time, not that long ago, Republicans were like, this is our stance. And Democrats are like, we don't agree with that stance. That's fucked up. And they're like, cool, but that's still our stance. We're not going to like, we're not trying to be that.
Yeah,
nebulous.
let's have a debate about it. Like, let's
Right.
figure out legislation where we can both be mad about it or both be happy, or whatever. So like that's
right. But
how it used to work. You're right.
Right. Dude, it wasn't 1,000 years ago. It was like 10 years ago. Like, it's fucking insane. So
Speaking of things that he said that were, I guess, not supposed to take literally either. So he's at a rally at Coachella for some reason, because when you think Coachella,
going to win California.
You think, well, turns out he was ahead of the curve. Like, we should have known Trump headlining, going to a music festival should have been a foreshadowing, but we didn't know it at the time.
Oh, I see what you did there.
And so again, like I preface this by reminding everyone, like, we just, we're still recovering from the two hurricanes that hit, up and down the eastern seaboard and in Florida. And he talked about Gavin Newsom, who he doesn't like, calls Gavin Newscum, which, 7.5 out of 10, I give it. So it's just Slopinopoulos. And he talked about how Gavin Newsom needs to take care of the California's water situation. Like, I don't know if this goes back to the fucking giant faucet that he thinks exists in Canada that can fucking flow all the way down.
Just turn the
Coast.
faucet, California.
Just turn the faucet on and fix the water. And he says, we're going to take care of your situation and we're going to force it down his throat. And I'm quoting, by the way. And we'll say, Gavin, if you don't do it, we're not giving any of that fire money that we send to you all the time for all the forest fires that you have. Now, again, for anyone out there saying like, oh, he's just talking, he wouldn't actually do that. This is the same guy who we found out while he was president, when Florida, North California rather, was having a wildfire outbreak that they were trying to tamp down. They needed federal funding. Trump didn't want to send it to them. He's like, no, California's a blue state. Fuck them. I'm not sending any money to them. And it was only after it was pointed out to him by one of his staffers that the part of the state affected by the wildfires is generally the redder part of California, the more Republican part of California, which is in the north, that he acquiesced and decided to send the money out.
Fine.
At that point. So again, we have a dude here who's like, hey, do what I say, or the federal money that we're just supposed to authorize and release. Like, this isn't like a fucking needs-based test that we do. Like, we have disaster relief for a reason, but we're going to withhold that because you say mean things about me and don't do stuff that I want you to do.
Amazing.
So we're just going to let your constituents, who are also my constituents, by the way, suffer because I'm taking it personally that you don't like me.
But again, we just got done with conservatives screeching and acting like a bunch of dumbasses online, saying that the federal government wasn't doing anything for people in North Carolina, which is patently untrue.
Yep.
This guy is right out front saying, I'm not going to do shit for California if they have wildfires again. Yeah, unless you do things for me. It's all transactional for him because, of course.
Yep. So like I said, that was pretty fucked up. And something that's certainly worth paying attention to. But then we got to Monday, and Trump was doing a town hall in Philadelphia. And it was being emceed by South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, because don't you know, everyone in Philly wants to see the puppy killing governor of South Dakota.
No
and
one like Kristi, absolutely.
Yeah, and they did a couple questions, and people were like fainting at the rally. Like there were 2 people that fainted. Apparently, there was no air conditioning running, presumably because the campaign did not want to pay for it. So that's the thing that was happening. So they stopped the questions when one person fainted. You know, they got medical help, started it back up again. Same thing happened. Another person fainted. Trump cracked a joke about it, about, you know, the people that were fainting, and then decided, you know what? Nobody wants to listen to me, the Republican presidential candidate, ask her questions about what the voters are looking for what I would do if I were reelected. No, nobody really wants to watch me answer questions up here.
Lame.
So we're just gonna play some music, and the camp and they literally played music for the next 40 minutes.
Yes.
With Trump just on stage, bopping and swaying.
Swaying, man. Yo, turn me up in my headphones, DJ. Like what is? We drove out Joe Biden out of the race. We drove him out of the race. This guy is just like, play Ave Maria, and then he's just like, he's swaying. He's having he's doing a little bit of the Giuliani. You know, like, but we're supposed to take this seriously. This is supposed to be seen as him just having fun, baby, and not just standing there having a complete and utter adult mental break.
Yeah. And by the way, afterwards, he and his campaign tried to like spin it as this like amazing campaign event, that like something special happened in Philadelphia tonight.
It's special, all right.
That you really had to see to believe. Like it was so fucking amazing. And it's just like, no, dude, like this is just a fucking dude running for president who doesn't have the stamina, doesn't have the mental acuity anymore to do the stuff you're supposed to do to run. Again, like this wasn't just him at like a fucking rally where he was giving a stump speech for 90 minutes. It's a town hall. Like the whole point of a town hall is to hear from voters directly and answer questions that they have about you. It's supposed to be a test of, you know, your ability as a president to, you know, think on your feet. Or like, I'm sure this town hall, all the fucking people that were there asking questions were fucking plants, and you know, they asked the questions that, you know, they wanted to ask, but that should give him an opportunity to really, you know, talk about his platform. And it's just like, now he's like, I'm going to get my Spotify playlist out. Like he was literally like announcing like what songs to play next, like telling the production people just like, hey, this is what I want you to play.
Yeah, fucking play like U2 or like all this other shit.
Yeah.
Here's the
YMCA. Let's do some James Brown.
The funny thing is, why'd you pick YMCA? Like, what a weird choice.
Dude, he loves YMCA. He does the double dickin' dance when like YMCA is going on. Yeah, he fucking loves it. It's all about it.
To paraphrase Dave Bautista, he looks like he's jerking off 2 giraffes. Like, look, I mean, what a bizarre moment in the campaign. Like, what an extremely bizarre moment. But it's not the only town hall he had that week or this week.
No,
he had the all ladies, the ladies' night.
The ladies' town hall with some notable question askers. The head of the Georgia RNC, the lady, the Georgia delegate who forgot to take her RNC delegate hat off.
Yeah, I saw that, you dummy. I
don't
know who I'm voting for. Like, Point at the head. You yeah, it was packed with Trump supporters. They locked all these poor dumb women in a room, and they were like, now all pretend that you can't decide.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Why is anyone surprised? Like, of course. So when you tell me it's neck and neck, bro, it isn't. Okay? It's not, because they are desperate for positive stories. They're desperate for it because they can't. Dude, there's a story. It's not even on the docket. There's a story today that the right wing is pushing. So if you have not heard this, allow us to be the first ones to help you knock down this bullshit. They're posting a story now that Kamala Harris plagiarized a book. Like plagiarized in her book, like all of this information, and they're like, "Oh, see, here it is. This is the big information." It's like, was it CNN or something like that went through and looked at all of the things that they said that she plagiarized, and they're like, "Well, I mean, I guess technically it's plagiarism in it that her and the co-author of this book, like they
forgot to cite something."
Like they forgot that, like they cited one thing about like the quote that they used, but didn't cite like the other down, like sort of down regulated part of the source, right? So like they cited like, this study, but they had picked up the text from like a news report about the study. They only cited the study. Mm-hmm. So they're like, yes, it's technically plagiarism, but like that's to the like you're trying to work the refs, and if you're in a sport and you're complaining about the refs, you've already lost. That's that sort of thing. Like, she didn't mention the CNBC report. It's like, but she cited the chart that they're using from the original source. Like, who gives a shit, dude? No one cares. But this is all they have, right? This is why Bret Baier is like, they're all dumb, right? Right? All the Trump supporters, they're stupid, deplorable, right? Because they don't have anything. So when you tell me that it's even, I just tell you, one, we'll talk about the polling in a second, but go look at the actual polling and like go and break down what's happening, right? And actually look at it. Two, listen and pay attention to what they're doing. Campaigns say a lot of shit, right? Democrats tend to work the scared cat technique, which is we're losing. We're all going to lose. Get out and vote, because that's the only way to get Democrats off their duff to the fucking polls, right? If they think they're going to lose. You can't be like, we're confidently kicking ass, because Democrats are like, well, time to sit back, baby. Like,
yeah, run up the scoreboard is not a motivating message for Democrats.
Right. It just isn't. For Republicans, it is. They're like, let's dunk on these motherfuckers, right? So that works for them. So Democrats tend to, anytime you get mailers from them or phone calls from them or texts or whatever, it's always like, we're in dire straits. We're going to die. They're going to murder your kids. Like, please, for the love of God, go vote, right? That's what motivates Democrats, is just a nature of fear, right? Stop being cowards. It's ridiculous. But watch what the campaigns do, because when the Trump people and Republicans, when they are messaging, because for some fucked reason, I get all of these text messages. Dude, I get like 10 a day, right? I get all these phone call, these text messages from Republican operatives and congressmen and stuff like that. All of their shit is like, yo, we're losing. Please help us. Because that's not how they normally operate. Normally it's Kamala Harris did this thing. Let's go kick her teeth in, right? That's how they normally are. They operate from a point of strength. But when they're like, oh God, please, Ted Cruz here, I really need your money. They're really afraid.
It's also not helping that none of the Trump campaign donation money is flowing downstream in any way, shape, or form, because it's all going to pay his legal fees, and everything for the RNC is paying his legal bills as well. So I'm sure the wells are a little bit more empty than they normally would be around this time of year for most Republicans. But again, like I bring this example up often because it seems quaint now. Especially, again, we just had a fucking town hall. We're halfway through the town hall. The Republican presidential nominee was like, let's have a fucking concert for the next 40 minutes, and I'm going to play you some of my favorite songs. Yep. And everyone was just like, wow, this is fucking weird. I have to remind everybody that in 2004, Howard Dean had to drop out of the Democratic primary race because he made a weird noise on stage.
Shout out to Terrence. We had this
he
conversation last night.
Yeah, because he yelled kind of weird. And they were like, holy shit, that dude cannot be president because he said, yeah, or something like that. And and it's like, holy shit, what a fucking weirdo. This guy cannot be anywhere close to the White House. Get the fuck out of here.
Can you imagine? Putting this psychopath? I'm like, I didn't really think about that. But yeah, it's the bar is under the ground. Like it's just been buried underground for him, and it will be for a long time. It really will be. All right, so let's talk about Donald Trump's pullout game. Yuck. Donald Trump canceled second mainstream interview in days. Donald Trump pulled out of another mainstream interview Thursday, this time nixing a sit-down with NBC News. CNN has reported that the interview would be in Philadelphia with NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans. CNN's Brian Stelter said one source suggested that it has only been postponed. I don't.
Yeah, we'll see. And this is like the day after that he canceled an in-studio interview on CNBC, on their Squawk Box show with a guy who basically is like a fucking out and proud like Republican offer. It would have been a super softball interview.
Yep. And then he also canceled a rally in Savannah, Georgia. Today. He also canceled. And that was the NRA event. Yes. So I was going to say he also canceled the NRA event, but that was that event was that Savannah rally. I told you, is he
half jokingly? Well, I mean, no, he's not. But I also told you, like, half jokingly, like I wouldn't be surprised, like in the lead up to the election, if he did like one campaign rally and then just like golf the rest of the week.
100%. I would not be surprised. Remember, this is the guy who said that Joe Biden was campaigning from his basement, right?
Yeah,
like he wasn't
Sleepy Joe. Like,
yeah. Now what happened? Now where are you? Huh? Where are you? We didn't mention that you talked about the Coachella thing. We didn't mention what happened at Coachella. At the rally.
This is so on brand. It pains me.
It's 100%
it pains me.
So they had the rally. These dunderheads went to this rally. Where you park at this Coachella event, it's like a 3-mile walk to the actual where the rally is. And so they had buses, right? Like you parked and then the buses would take you to the actual rally. They do the rally, they do the double dildo dance, everybody's really happy, whatever. It's time to go. Ain't no buses, Joe. The buses don't come back. They fucking bounced. Turns out the buses left them there because the Trump campaign wouldn't pay the money to get the buses to come back. They're like,
he was fucking them over on the bill, basically. And they're just like, all right, cool. Like you don't want to pay the bill. We're not gonna do anything. See ya.
Yeah,
and people are like, they stranded us at the event. Like, I can't believe they left us here.
Yeah, and then they started blaming Gavin Newsom. The governor of California decided, hey, why don't I screw with these people at this fucking stupid rally? Why would he do that?
Yeah.
Because the reality is disturbing to them, which is that their grand leader doesn't give a fuck about them at all. And that is actually
and is a historically noted cheapskate as well.
Would you like to hear another Donald Trump cheapskate story that I heard?
Absolutely. I know which one you're going to talk about. It's great.
This is a good one. So in Oregon, they have they send out like a sort of a pre-election day like information pamphlet about each of the candidates, right? And like whether you're in the Green Party or whatever, or you're running for Congress, it's all in there, right? So you can look up these people, you can read up about their bios, right? I think it's a good idea. The campaigns all pay for having those blurbs put in about their people, right? Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are in there. I'm sure the Green Party is in there. RFK Jr. is in there just because he's still on the ballot in Oregon. The Trump campaign did not pay the $3,500 to have Trump and Vance's bio in there.
$3,500?
Yes.
That's all that it cost was $3,500.
Yeah. That's just a few Trump watches, like the cheap ones. Like it's not even that much.
I mean,
they're broke. They're super broke.
Well, I mean, they're broke, but it's like I can't stress enough to people. Like, obviously, you're listening to this fucking show. You're keyed into politics. You know what's going on. But I also will tell you that you are in the extreme minority of Americans when it comes to that shit.
Yes.
I'm sure that there are a non-zero number of people, and it's probably a fairly, like, probably tens of thousands of people in Oregon who rely on this mailer that they get every election to inform them because they're not fucking listening to Look Forward, or they're not watching MSNBC or CNN or Fox News every day.
Right.
Not being in the flyer is just it's just like it's the bare minimum effort that you could do. That's going to cost you votes. It will cost you votes.
It will because people are like, all right,
because they're not going to think about you.
Yeah, and it helps them make up their mind on someone else.
Right. That's amazing. That's just an incredible fucking thing to do.
And the reason I know that is because I saw a conservative make a video about it. He's like, well, this can't be legal. How the Democrats must have done this. And then someone's like, point to this article. And the article is like, actually, here's the reason why it's not there. And it's just because they didn't pay the bill. That's it. They didn't want to pay it.
That's insane.
But that tells you, by the way, tells you how broke they really are. $3,500. They're super broke.
Well, Jay, good news, because they have a little bit of cash coming to them very soon, if it's not already fucking here. So the I guess Trump's having such a good time campaigning this time around that they wanted to bring it back. They wanted to bring back some of the old stuff. They want to play the hits.
I mean,
we found out
so.
Say again.
They got Corey Lewandowski. So, like, they
did. I mean, look, they're bringing a lot of people back. So there's reporting that came out yesterday. So it is known that Stormy Daniels, who Trump famously had an affair with, and then illegally used the Trump organization to pay her a hush money payment so that she didn't say anything about it before the 2016 election, which got him convicted on 34 felony counts in the state of New York. So that's the thing that happened, and because of I can't remember why they sued her. They like countersued her for something and they won. So she owed them money. Okay. And this is legit. And her lawyers and his lawyers had been negotiating to figure out what that amount was. Apparently, like, she owed them, like, according to the judgment, like, she owed them $650,000, and her lawyer was trying to negotiate down to like $600,000 or something like that. And so they weren't budging. But then Trump's lawyers came back to her and was like, we'll actually take the 600,000. Or sorry, we'll actually take 620. We'll take 620 from you. And that saves you $30,000. But in return, we want you to sign an NDA saying that you're going to make no public or private statements related to any alleged past interactions with President Trump, or defamatory or disparaging statements about him, his business, and or any affiliates, or his suitability as a candidate for president. Now I will.
What are you doing? What are y'all doing?
I will, for the record, just to be perfectly clear, he's not like, they're not breaking the law by doing this. Like trying to work in an NDA as part of a legal settlement is perfectly legal. He's not doing anything untowards from a legal standpoint. He has the right to do this if he wants to. However,
it's the optics.
The optics of this. Number one, they're terrible. Number two, why does it matter?
It's already
like, that toothpaste is already out of the tube. Like we've heard her public testimony in the felony trial where we got to hear it all. Like, it's all out there right now. Yeah. Like is shutting her up for a couple weeks in advance of the election really that important to you?
I mean, by the way, if you had not dealt with this, she probably wouldn't say anything anyway.
No.
You know what I mean? Like you've now thrown.
She wants to move on.
Back on.
Like she wants to be done with this.
Yeah, I'd be ashamed too if I were her. Jesus Christ.
And so this was found out by Rachel Maddow's team, and they somehow got they literally had the letter that the Trump
of course
campaign, like the Trump lawyer sent to Stormy Daniels' lawyer, and they asked the Trump campaign about this. And they're like, "Oh, we're not commenting on this because this was part of the Iran hack." And Rachel and Maddow's team was like, okay, neat. That's not where we got it, and it doesn't change the fact that this is a legitimate document." So again, do you want to comment on this? They're like, "Nah, we prefer not to, actually."
Thanks, but no.
It's unbelievable. It's unfucking-believable.
Why would you go back to the well on this? Why would you go back?
I told you he's running out of ideas. Maybe he hasn't fucked any other porn stars recently that he's trying to keep quiet about. So he's just like, well, I got we're getting close to the election, right? Like we got to do an NDA, right? Like just for old time's sake, like we got to get some hush money statements out there.
Yeah, before this is all over, let's come on, guys, let's do the hits again.
Let's get the band back together.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like, what are you doing? Look, there is part of me that does believe like he doesn't want to win. Like he don't want to go to jail, but I don't think he wants to win. I think he's done. I really do. I think he's just become so incredibly lazy. He doesn't want to do this shit anymore. Like he's tired of running for president. Like I think he's legitimately tired of it. Like would he like to win so he can stay out of jail?
Well, I mean he's quite literally been running for president for the past 9 years, and you're saying no, he was president for 4 years, and to you I say no, he never stopped running for president.
No, he was constantly running for president. Yeah, no.
He literally was doing rallies like every month while he was president.
Right. It was like, why? Dude, like you're on TV. Like who gives a shit? But yeah, I just don't think he wants to do the process anymore. I think he loved it at first and doing the rallies and the fucking dildo dancing and all that other shit. And he likes the admiration, but he can't admit to us or probably even deeply to himself, but he knows those crowds are smaller. He knows that those cheers aren't as loud as they used to be. They really used to get him going, used to fill his diaper, right? Like this, he knows that. And I think that lack of enthusiasm and like that fucking feeling he got in 2016, the feeling he got in 2020, where he thought he was going to win and all this other shit, it ain't there anymore. And I think he's just like, I'm tired. And that's more the thing. Like, I don't even know if it's a conscious thing as much as just dude's old now. I mean, he's super old. Yeah. Yeah. I think he just wants to be like, can we can you just let the big dog go? Like, I'm trying to quit, but y'all, like, I keep saying crazy shit, and you guys are just like, yeah, let's do that. And he's like, I said enemy within. I thought that was enough. And you're like, no.
Yeah, what if he was actually trying to like get himself like functionally disqualified?
Yeah,
and just like, why is this shit working? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, because you built a cult, and no matter what you say, the cult is like, yes, great leader. That makes sense. Yeah. No, I really think he just wants to be done. Again, I think he would love to win. Like, I think he would love to win to like stick it to Democrats and like stick it that he beat 2 women in a row. Like, yeah, motherfucker, I did it. But at the end of the day, I think he would love, if he was president, just be like, hey, JD Vance, all the responsibilities. I'm just gonna go.
Yeah, I was about to say, like if he does become president, wonder what that's gonna look like on a day-to-day basis.
He'll go out, yell at helicopters, and that's it, dude. He ain't doing nothing.
Yeah, like if you thought he worked minimal hours before, like you ain't seen fucking nothing yet.
Yeah, I don't think Melania's moving back into the White House. Like, nope.
Oh no, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
we talked last episode about how she's trying to make sure she keeps that socialite reputation on lock.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's not trying to go back to DC. Fuck out of here.
I'm trying to chill in New York.
She might come back during the holidays to make the White House look like a Tim Burton movie, but other than that, like it's
here's these red Christmas trees for murder, like just like they had in my home country. Like, this sucks. You're weird. Yeah, that's really weird, man. I don't know what you're doing. All right, let's talk about Project 2025. Trump's never heard of it. He doesn't know anything about it.
Nope.
He's never read about it. Doesn't know anybody.
Doesn't know it. Doesn't know anyone that's involved with it.
Yeah.
Like I like new phone who dis. I don't know her. Like whatever fucking meme you want to use.
Yeah.
He don't know nothing. He don't know nothing about nothing.
That's right. Well, on Tuesday, appearing on the California KFI radio station with host John Cobalt, asking Trump what plans and proposals related to immigration do you have ready to go if elected. Trump, quote, you've seen Tom. You've seen Tom Homan. He's on board. Now, who's Tom Homan? Interesting. Homan served in Trump's administration from 2017 to 2018 as the acting director of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, overseeing the controversial family separation policy at the U.S.-Mexican border. So he's a terrible human being. But Tom is also, when asked whether the former president was considering any other Project 2025 contributors for the role in his administration transition team, Trump's campaign told Newsweek, President Trump announced that the Trump-Vance Transition Leadership Group to initiate the process of preparing for what comes after the election. So they're literally bringing this guy in, Tom Homan, onto the transition team to handle immigration. But somehow we're meant to believe that he, who is one of the architects of Project 2025, is not going to implement anything. Like, none of this shit. They're all totally separate. This is him telling you what he's planning on doing. And when people don't pay attention, they miss it, right? I'm going to use the military against citizens. And people are like, huh? What? What's happening? I'm going to bring in the guy from Project 2025. Huh? What's happening? Yeah. He's telling you.
And meanwhile, like, you don't even have to like read between the lines on this stuff. Like, again, he's literally at rallies talking about how his administration wants to round up, his words, not mine, round up 10 million immigrants and get them out of the country. And if you think, oh, he's just talking about undocumented immigrants, no. Again, like, this is the like he's including like the Haitians in Springfield, Ohio, into this mix, who are here legally, who have protected status. He's talking about rounding those folks up. If you think that they're going to somehow keep it to undocumented immigrants, you got a fucking thing coming. These guys don't like legal immigration. They say they do, but legal immigration, while he was president, dropped to historic lows while he was around.
He'll kill asylum.
So they're not interested at all.
No,
in this.
No,
doesn't give a fuck about the Dreamers. They're
gone immediately.
Gives a fuck about the Dreamers, but you know.
Oh yeah, gone. And then of course people like when the. I don't think he's going to win. I don't think it's even close to a chance of him winning, honestly, unless it's just like outlandish cheating, which is possible, I guess. But things like the Dreamers, he would deport them immediately, right? Like,
yeah.
Right? Because they have all their names. And this is the fucked up thing about America, and hopefully we'll never have to see this actually happen. Because they came out, like, Obama's like, look, you need to come out, register for this program, and we're going to try to get you guys to become citizens, which to me is the most reasonable fucking thing on planet Earth, right? I think only the most extreme people believe that the Dreamers should be kicked out. Like, it's just fucking insane. One, they're kids, like, for God's sake.
Well, I mean, they're not kids anymore. That's kind of the whole point. Is that
right? No, they're not kids. But you know, I mean, they're still all very, for the most part, very young, right? Like, they're not, you know, they're like in their 20s.
They're in their 20s at this point.
Right. They're still kids. Young whippersnappers, if you will. But Obama will be blamed for this. They'll be like, well, he's the one who told them to come out, right? Like, the incompetence and the brutality from the Republican Party will be used against them. And people will hard focus not on the guy doing it, but on the guy who was trying to help them. Like, that's
not just the guy doing it, but also the party that prevented their status from being solidified for damn near 10 years at this point.
Right. And by the way, I don't know I don't know if she has a policy about that.
No, that was part of it. I mean, again, it's like make the Dreamers citizens. Like, that's the fucking plan.
Okay.
It's been the plan. But the problem is that you can't just do it. Like, you need to have Congress also on board. And of course, Republicans are not willing to do that, despite the fact that all of these people have lived in America for literally all but like maybe a year or two of their lives, or possibly months in some cases, who went to American schools, who went to college, who have jobs, who are tax-paying Americans, who don't know any country but this country, but somehow we can't see fit to give them citizenship status,
right,
despite the fact that they are American in all but in all but name, pretty much.
right. It's just American culture. I mean, it's nuts. It's nuts. But if that happened, and again, I don't think that it will. If that happened, they will immediately blame Obama for it. It's like, dude, that's not his fault. Like, there's a part, like there's a massive disconnect that people have, and this fundamentally comes down to not knowing how government works. There is a mass disconnect with proposing policies, trying to get policies passed, and those policies being thwarted by the other party, right? People love to blame Democrats for not doing things, but then when you go to look at the things that they've tried to do, they're blocked by Republicans, and they're like, "See, why didn't you do it?" But that's not how government works. Well,
but Jay, why didn't they just do an executive order? Why didn't they just fucking swing a pen and make it magically happen? It's not like there's any other fucking branches of government that could stand in the way of that order being enforced. It's not like that we have a completely separate judicial branch who can immediately then weigh in and be like, "Hey, that's not constitutional. You can't do that." Come on, like
that never happens.
It's not like that exists. Yeah, it never happens ever.
It's like a fantasy of like 9 judging people. Like, come on, that's silly.
Yeah, the president's basically a king. Label,
Dude. But yeah, it's just absolutely nuts.
Okay, that's the end of the free portion for this week's episode of Look Forward. Make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/premium. Sign up for premium content. It's only $5 a month or $50 for the full year.